Okay, it's the top of the hour. Let's get started. This is a session of the DETNET working group at IETF 120. Lou Berger and myself, Janos Farkas, co-chair the working group. And we have Yves Schuler as our secretary, doing a really great job with minutes and so on. This is the second session of the DETNET working group. Uh, and this is the fourth day in the IETFs. I would like to remind everyone that about the IETF note well. Everybody is expected to be familiar uh, with these rules and policies under which we conduct our business. And if you are not, if you don't accept these rules and policies, then you should not participate. If I would like to also remind you that all of the contributions become part of our permanent record. Also, we have the conduct guidelines, and please act accordingly. And as for participation, like the logistics, I would like to remind in-person participants to scan the QR code you see on the screen as well for the blue sheet. And of course, participating remote, you get your participation gets recorded automatically. Um, yes, you have found your way here, so no need to repeat. Most of these slides have been presented on our first session on Tuesday, and this is the second session Thursday. So we will be not repeating everything. There is one change in the agenda for this session. There is a new item being added as a last request based on MPLS working group discussion. We added it as we had room for it. And yes, these slides have been presented in detail. As for the liaison from ITUT Study Group 13, we are planning to respond, and the draft response will be shared on the list. And no need to go through all these details. These have been presented. With that, I suggest to go to the first presentation, which is on site in person, and you can control the slides with the remote
Thank you.
control.
So just use this one to go like this. Oh, okay, sure. Thank you. So testing, that's work. Thank you. Here, this is just the first session of the lunch. So I will just try to cheer up everyone by using this presentation. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the second presentation about our draft. It's the flow aggregation for enhanced DANet. Myself, Tianji from CMCC, and Chuan from ZTE. I think she's online right now, and Jinu from Sanyan from South Korea. Okay, so next one, let's see. Oh yeah, good. So this is agenda of today's presentation. This is the second time, right? So I have put some we have put some recapture slides about the backup part. So basically, this is some work. It's like derived from what Chuan. She has done a great presentation in IETF 119, covering like scenarios, gaps, requirements for the flow aggregation for large-scale enhanced DANite. But from IETF 119, we have collected some feedback suggestions. So based on those information, we have made some significant revisions for the draft. Now it's the draft 01. So so far there are two major sections on this part. One is objectives, requirements, and general principles. That is most based on the work from the previous, although we did have a revision or changes. And then also, cause for the feedback and comments we collected from the previous IETF, there are questions asking, okay, so you have some good points or aspect, but we all know flow aggregation is some sort of must for enhanced DANet. So, can you justify something? So based on that thing, so we say, okay, well, let's do. This is not just like a way, like realization for flow aggregation for 5GS. That is not like a come from nowhere. Uh, I'm going along the slide. I'm going to explain why this one comes up. Okay, so this is agenda. So I have a 15 minutes, right?
You can.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Sure. Thank you. So, as I mentioned, we have comments and feedback. So this is the source. This is our source and the revision logics. You mean I have already explained, but here there are three major bullets. That is the foundation of the individual drafts at this moment. But this time we made some changes. So for the first part, we laid out some general objectives and requirements for the flow aggregation of the enhanced DANet. This is the first step of the thinking logic. And then based on that, we rewrite the structure of the ID. So revolving around objectives and requirements that being raised. And then we propose the principles for the optimized flow aggregation. There are some, buzzword or terminology or technologies, whatever innovations we proposed in the draft, like a flow aggregation, aggregation class, aggregated QS with Bahar behavior, accommodating fine-grained like a flow level classification, identification, all kind of things. And then, and then because of this, like the general objectives, requirements, principles, and then say, okay, how about apply this type of general things or common commonly accepted things to some real scenario. Okay, so we pick up the 5GS. So by applying the proposed principles to 5GS, we believe this can help prove the merits and effectiveness of the proposals in the draft. So this is the thinking logic and also the revision logic of the current version. Okay. Here, just to show the difference, you can see the original section 3 and 4 have been merged to be the new section 2. This is for the objective requirements with some principles embedded. And also, we provide a completely new section for the realization of this one for 5GS DETNET service. I'm going to use a slide later to show what is the 5GS DETNET service. Okay, this is just give all-in-one diff comparison. Okay, so actually, the things like all the details are in the current version of the draft. So we list summarize. Well, these points are based on most of them are based on the work that being done from the version 0. So one is like aggregating flow across domains. And also, after aggregation, we still want to do QS provisioning for aggregated versus fine-grained on the flow level. Aggregated is more like a class level. And also, we want to scale down, of course, for aggregation, we can scale down state maintenance and the transient nodes. And also the aggregation, like implications of flow aggregation to transient nodes. Here, we just give all the details. All the details are in the draft, but here all the bullets in the bold font, we believe they are pretty self-explanatory. And then, can see, we can go to the next one. Okay, so this is the common objectives, requirements, and the general principles we have proposed. Okay, so this is the things that actually inspire us. Okay, because from IETF 119, people ask, okay, what can you do with it? It's good. Flow aggregation is good. Okay, for large scale data. So for IETF work, when we get it, so what can be done? So what is the usefulness or merit of your work? Okay, so actually this is something new. There's a plenary meeting from 3GPP last month, I think in Shanghai. For each plenary meeting in SA in 3GPP, there will be a IETS, sorry, there will be one IETF status report to 3GPP that will be presented by the IETF liaison manager to 3GPP. I think it's Peter, I forget. Yeah, I say Peter. So in that slide deck, okay, there is one particular things, okay, about the IETF peace working group work. Is a realization of IETF network slides for 5G network using current IP MPLS technologies. So this is the slide I captured. I just used a screen capture and put here to show, okay, so what has been presented by the IETF liaison manager in that. You want the clarification? Okay, sure. So the thing is like, so basically, I want to show here, IETF network slice, discussed and then being standardized. Now this one, I think maybe in the working group, let's go. I forget. But thing is like, okay, so there's some good work in IETF. So what can be done? What is the merit or effectiveness of the work? So we look at this one, actually got inspired. So, oh yeah, realization of the IETF NS network slice for 5G using IETF technologies. So the similar things. So the liaison has been sent out from IETF to 3GPP to ask for some feedback for verification of correctness, for comments, for concerns, for clarification, for all the things. So it's like, okay, IETF has done some great work. And now to send some reference, not guidance yet, reference to 3GPP before IETF but you publish. So it's like interaction between or among different SDOs, standard development organizations. So we got inspired. So, okay, so the similar things. So we have some good like a general objectives, requirements, principles. Okay, how can we do something similar? That is the things we try to do, because for well, this is just for everyone's information. So well, I've we have already put this one in one IETF draft. It's on the bottom. It's on bottom small font. There is although it's like talking about the DETNET young model the things, but that draft has give all the details about how the 5GS system, the big system, can be a logical DETNET node. This work has been standardized already by 3GPP 5GS. So here, you just look at the picture. Well, the words are kind of crowded. So the 5GS in the large box with the broken lines is just like a 5GS or the logical DETNET node. So basically, it's like a transparent box. And then from the left side, like your UE is just like your mobile phone or some other phone with 3GPP standard, 3GB access. So from left side, it can connect to other DNS system, and to the right side, it also can be connected to some other DNS system. So consider all things together, it's like holistic in large scale DNS system. So here, so I just give for area information. So you get a picture, 5GS is like a logical DNS transient node. Okay, now we have we have the objectives, we have requirements, we have general principles. Okay, and then we got inspired. Think believe IETF that has some good work. Okay, from the analogy is now slicing. Here the similar things for flow aggregation for DETNET. So how about apply the same things to do a realization of flow aggregation for 5GS DETNET? So all the four bullets in both fonts are corresponding to the one I have just explained or presented for the general things. The first one is a realization of 5GS across domain. And the second one is like the QoS provisioning, aggregated and fine-grained. Actually, this is will be well structured, because the 5GS itself not a big box, but from inside it's very structured. Okay, it has a flow level and also have aggregated level, like per logical node things. And then the third one, the state maintenance at the 5GS, it has all the features to do some things, and the flow classification and identification, and this one. Okay, so at this moment, so if you look at all the pictures here, so we have the general things like requirements, like objectives. We have general principles, and then we got inspired. Okay, well, IETF work is useful and can be a good reference. So okay, how about to do some sort of realization for the 5GS? Since 5GS has defined the DNAC logical node. Okay, so when we put this one together, we revised our previous one also based on some feedback from 119. Say, okay, how usefulness? Who can read it? Who will benefit? Who when you get this work done, or where are you going to send it? So this is the thinking logic and the revision logics of the whole new draft. Okay, here, this is the next step. Well, no, I'm not going to repeat the first and the second bullet. The last one is not so okay. We want to emphasize we're not asking for adoption right now. We're just asking for feedback. Is this some useful work along the time for the group to consider? So that is the thing, we are looking at right now. And remember here, this is also the basic all the feedback we collect from IETF 119. So okay. I think I'm going to stop here.
Tolles Eckert, thank you. Um, Without me having all the 5G background, it's quite difficult for me to figure out what kind of the beef at the end in terms of what DETNET would have to do over all the pieces we've already defined for aggregation in our various DETNET RFCs, right, would be needed. So don't give me the answer now, right, but I think kind of that type of strip down uh, to the ultimate outcome for us would be very helpful. And I think then people may be more motivated trying to understand all the 5G stuff, right? So that because that is a lot of stuff that I agree, right? If we see there is a chance for not too much work to get some feedback out of that, that may be attractive to people. I have one more point, but if you
Actually, I'd be very interested in hearing the answer from the speaker on that point that you just raised. If we,
oh,
because
I
we
was
have
fearing
time,
it's too long, but sure,
we
yeah,
have
please.
we have some time because we are lightly loaded this session. So I'd love to hear from that. But if you want to ask your second question first,
So well, my main concern is still that the key part of aggregation, which I think we need for really the large scale DETNets, which maybe even 5G, when they were thinking about just, cell local um, type of IoT use cases, right, then which they may not be considering about, is the flow interleaving, right? Remember the draft, haven't updated it this time, but the point is really, I see from, wider scale IoT remote control applications, just, a humongous number of flows with, very far apart bursts, right? So something like devices sending a message every 1 to 10 millisecond. And if you have tens of thousands of those, and you don't have them coordinated in an interleaved way, then you're simply adding up these bursts and you're wasting humongous amount of bandwidth in the network, right? So that's why I think aggregation without interleaving is a far too short going step. And that maybe, feedback we also want to provide to 3GPP and 5G, that they really need to look into that. But yeah, so that's my main concern for the large scale that we're looking into.
Okay, for the first question about the 5GS part, this is a picture. If you consider this one as like black box, the 5GS is just a transient node. Although within the box it's so complicated actually, and then this is in one 5GS system, it's a composite architecture. It might be comprised of multiple DETNET nodes within. Okay, it just depend how 5GS is being structured here. Well, actually, it depend about actual number. Well, the things it depend on the number of the user plane functions. User plane function is yeah, this is no pointer, right? Point. Oh yeah, this is a user per function. So basically, it depends on the number of UPFs that are being used in the 5GS. So the whole thing here is like, if you consider the 5GS logical DETNET node, okay, it's like a router. It's just like a router. On the left side, it's like your UE, okay, or your mobile equipment with 3GPP access. The same thing, well, for your second question, like IoT. For the IoT part, actually, it's being discussed a lot about how that one is not on the DETNET perspective yet, but there are a lot of things how the IoT, well, ambient IoT, most likely ambient IoT part, is like no power source things, kind of things, how that can be accommodated, okay, in the 5G system. Okay, on the right hand side, as I mentioned, the UPF. UPF just you can, oh yeah, it's probably just like a router. It can do the routing functionalities. So toward the right side, it's connected to some other DETNET nodes or other DETNET network, consider like a subdomain. So if you put everything together, you get this one, and this one. Is this like a big holistic domain? Yeah, this work for the 5GS of the logical DETNET transit node. It has been standardized. Okay, by the end of last May, has been done. This is in the spec already. Actually, I'm not sure if you still remember there was some liaison between the 3GPP and here talk about all the parameters, something whether IETF can provide such that 3GPP can do the work better. But the liaison actually make 3GPP go some other way, since IETF does not have such type of tool. So 3GPP will do their own extension at this moment.
So can I jump in there with a point?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this would ultimately be similar to, using TSN technologies for DETNET subnets, how do we call it, right? So some TSN and TSN hops, and then we need to look into those underlying technologies, particular guarantee behavior, especially for the latency, right? And while it was interesting to see that they've been in 3GPP looking also into stateless weighted for queuing, I think some of the proposals that we've been dealing with on our QoS side will provide a much better property for scalable bounded latency, and that may need to go into those 5G things. Even if we would like them to be a black box, they need to be a black box that works for large scale DETNET services, right? So that's one of the challenges.
Actually, I can. Do we have time? Yeah, okay. Actually, I can explain. Actually, for that things, if you look at here, it is the time sensitive communication and the time sensitive function. Maybe I forget the TSC, TSF. Actually, it's like the TSN you are mentioning right here. And then for whatever, like you are queuing.
No, I'm talking about the user plane, right? So you need to point to the UEs and the queuing and the traffic model at that
level. I was
level.
going to explain to you. The thing, this is a black box. You cannot from outside. You can only go through this way to provide all the parameter setting, your requirement to this one, and then to some policy function called the PCF. That is going to help the 5GS to set the QoS requirement for QoS flow. So for whatever you have asked outside, this one in the IETF domain, the CPF DETNET controller is going to do the mapping and send through the TSF function to the 5GS.
I understand that. What I'm saying is, if the 5G technologies are not going to provide in the user plane good, scalable, and efficient per hop bounded latency algorithms like we've been looking into, then these are just not going to be good subnets for a large-scale DETNET system, right? So yes, of course, we can use these things like we can use any other subnets, but I would hope that when they're trying to do something that actually scales to the order that they hope they get, and which we're hoping to get with DETNET, then I'd be worried about that they haven't done enough of homework for that.
Okay, well, I can answer that question regarding the latency boundary for the 5GS. Actually, the things that has been liaison exchanged between the 3GPP and IETF. Basically, from the 3GPP set is asking, can the IETF domain send that latency boundary to us? Okay, if the IETF can send it, actually 5GS has a particular parameter called the packet delay budget. Okay, from here to the UE. So as long as the outside provide to the 5GS, that will be handled.
Again, if we're doing the aggregation and we're doing interleaving, then we can be efficient, right? If they're doing the interleaving, which I haven't seen on their plan, they can be efficient, right? If you use stateless stuff, you may not need that much aggregation and so on. So there are many more technical details than just saying, oh, we just sent an SLA and magically everything works. I understand that we're sending SLA to them.
Yeah, as I mentioned, we are talking about the aggregation, and you are talking about aggregation. Here, as I mentioned, there are two types of traffic parameters. It's is per logical node or flow level. So as long as I keep mentioning, as long as the IETF DETNET controller provide the aggregated parameters to 5GS, the 5GS will enforce it. Okay, and also it can enforce the flow level parameters. So if you, I think all the details actually in this, I brought some details in this draft. This is also for the DETNET working group part.
Yeah, so I think you're hitting on something that's actually pretty important, which is if you have a use case that you don't think is being covered in existing documents, coming here and presenting the use case and presenting the parameters that you would like to see added is exactly the right thing. So
Okay.
thank you very much for bringing the document. And looking at it, I see that it says it's standards track, which means that you're headed towards doing some changes. But in reading it, it's not clear to me what changes you are asking for or what cannot be done with the current DETNET. So if you could refine the document to highlight what is missing and what you think is needed, that would be very helpful. And then we can look at to the specific mechanisms that are being proposed. If you're not proposing mechanisms, it's not a standards track document. It'd be informational, and that's okay too.
That's okay. Yeah.
But right now, I read it and I'm like, okay, this is interesting context, but I don't see any gaps in what we do today that need to be filled with something new. So if you can highlight what the gaps that you see are in the current definitions and what you think the required changes are, that would be really helpful.
Okay. Well, can just ask,
Sure.
do you think this is like a good scenario to be like a supplementary to the DETNET work?
So as context for a use case for DETNET, I personally find it interesting.
Okay.
That's me as an individual. We can poll the working group, see if others think it's interesting.
Okay.
But I think it's interesting. As a standards track document, I don't see what changes are being done here. I don't see what additions, what gaps. So I don't think anything more than just an informational of, yeah, that's interesting context for how DETNET's going to be used. Right now that's where I see it.
Okay,
But it
sure.
sounds like you're saying that there are gaps and that there's additional information that would be valuable.
Okay.
So highlighting those in this document would be very useful, I think, to the working
Okay,
group,
got it. Yeah.
and also useful for advancing this work.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
We can, if you would like, we can poll and see who's interested. But we know the group's interested in 5G, so I don't think we need to do that.
Okay,
So,
sure. Okay, that's
but
good.
but helping to identify the gaps and what you're asking for, what you're doing differently, would be very interesting.
Sure. Yeah.
Or it can be a new gaps document as well if you, as you see, better fit.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. But this document, as I see it, it's informational right now. So at
Right,
least
yeah.
relabel it as informational.
I think it's information, right? Is it?
I'm pretty sure it says standards track.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. Yeah, sure, no problem. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. If I'm
Chair.
wrong, I'm wrong.
No,
but
it's
I'm
okay.
pretty
Well,
sure.
yeah, well, probably just yeah.
No
Yes,
worries.
yeah, thank you for all the comments. Yeah,
Yeah.
we are
Thank
going
you
to-
very much. And next up, we have Kwan. So you're scheduled for 10 minutes, but we actually have an hour left in the slot and only one other presentation after you. So go at your pace. No, you don't have to go
Okay.
slow, but
Thank you.
you have a little extra time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lu. Hello, everyone. This is Chuan Sheng from DT. This topic is about a framework for traffic engineering in enhanced DETNET. Let's recap the draft. The co-authors would like to thank the comments and suggestions from Adrian, Lu, and Yellows. The draft has been presented at 118, and we also had a recent meeting for the detailed discussion. Thank you for your attention. And the updates for the draft I like following show. First, we have modified the draft name to the framework of traffic engineering, and we changed the status to informational, and we clarified the the purpose of this draft to more clearly to express the problem and the motivations, and we also do some editorial updates. So first, what's the problem for this draft? To the initial problems from the view of traffic engineering, as described RC 9522, the DETNET can be seen as a specialized branch of TE. And from the view of the traffic engineering, it has the scalability concerns for DETNET. For example, a considerable amount of state information is required to maintain the per flow queuing, disciplines, and resource reservation for a large number of individual flows. And second, this also can be quite challenging for network operations for during network events, and even DETNET has supported the flow aggregation, but the flow aggregation, as mentioned, just mentioned, were presented by TNG. It still has stability problems. It still requires a large number of controls flowing and establishing and maintaining data flows. So from the traffic engineering of the DETNET can DETNET should resolve the scalability issues. So we have done some discussions in internet to use the enhanced DETNET to provide queues in large-scale networks. Many works has been discussed or ongoing in the networking group, but from the view of the traffic engineering, may be a valuable tool to help scale the DETNET. So this document has provides a framework for traffic engineering to achieve the DETNET queues in enhanced DETNET, and to give some description of analysis for the extensions for is necessary to use the TE for DETNET. So this document also describes the enhanced considerations for control plane to deliver the enhanced DETNET traffic engineering. So this is TE analysis for framework for the enhanced DETNET. First, from the view of the policy of traffic engineering, the routing policy, including the banded latency cluster-based routing, can be considered when selecting and distributing the candidate paths. And from the path steering, it should provide path steering to forward packet with deterministic behaviors for this link. And this work has been done for mailing queuing solutions to achieve the deterministic latency, and the latency information may be provided to for packets for path steering in IPv6, SRv6, and FPLs, and some individual work has been discussed in many other working group and that working group. And the flow aggregation also should be considered for the differentiated data queues. So the class-based aggregation, as just presented by TNG, that the enhancement or the some for the flow aggregation, I think is from flow-based aggregation to the class-based aggregation to resolve the scalability. It is the enhancement for the new work we I think we should do in internet. So from resource management, we should provide fine-grained resource with scheduling and management to meet the bandwidth latency requirements. We should provide the rational utilization of resources and the improvement of network performance. So the time-based resource aware control and forward should be considered. So this is a word consideration for the T framework or the T extensions for the enhanced DETNET. We also provide some ongoing work, the references for this framework in the document. So we also provide considerations for control plane of DETNET TE or enhanced DETNET. For example, we have analysis the enhancement consideration for control plane and the process processing of the control plane to deliver the latency. First step is the information advertisement by IGP, such as time-based results and the deterministic links, should be uh, uh, achieved by in the control plane. And the second, the controller may collect the resource and topology information by BGP-LS. And then the controller when the controller receiving the service request from users, the loss bounding interface, the controller will perform the path planning based on the service requirements and distributes the results to that domain by PSAP or NetConf. That's not loss when receiving the distribution from the controller will establish the path and the related resource allocation based on the configuration of the controller. So the controller may set the administration control and policy by TE. So this is the processing control plane for the DETNET TE. So there may be some extensions for of PE that should be considered for the whole delivering the achieving the DETNET queues. So last steps we also want to would like to seek feedback from TIS working group, and we sincerely ask for working group reviews and comments. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. Presumably you mean the DETNET working group, just because that's where we are. Have you looked at the controller plane framework? I mean, obviously you referenced it, but have you looked at what you would like to change there or enhance in that document? Where do you think the gaps are in that?
Yeah, I think for the current version of the controller plane framework, there is a low enhancement for the enhanced DETNET or for example, the processing of in control plane of the queuing solutions. There is no extensions for something like that in the existing control plane framework. But this is just part of of our document. We also would like to propose the whole traffic engineering framework, including the data plane and the control plane, including the ongoing work and the references. We should do work about that to deliver enhance that.
Okay. Well, traffic engineering is certainly in scope of the current controller plane document. If you're reading it and don't think it is, it might be helpful to send comments to the list on how you'd like to see that document change so that it is clear, because that's certainly in scope. And you're talking also about the aggregation and using maybe class-based aggregation. And if you think we would like to see that explicitly addressed, we can still add that to that document. We're getting ready to last call it. It's not too late to put in changes to it. So if you would like to see that document change in any way to address your use case, now would be a great time to propose specific text. So, think about how you'd want to change that document and send the comments to the list, and that would be really helpful to us. And one other area that you mentioned is the interdomain piece, and there has been an attempt to bring in interdomain into that document. So that, again, if you don't think it's adequately covered, your feedback and helping get that document to completion would be really appreciated.
Yeah,
Okay, I will send my comment.
Just an add-on to that keep in mind that that is a framework document, and details to be developed by other documents if we need to make enhancements to protocols whatsoever.
Yeah, thank you. So I will send comments to the existing document on the mailing list. Thanks.
Yeah, and if for some reason you don't get to it before we start the last call, those would be reasonable last call comments as well. It's not too late to fix the document or to change it. Okay, with that, I think we're in. Kwan, unless you have anything else, we're going to move on. Thank you very much. And I'm forgetting the last speaker's name. Julian? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, already on. So please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Chairs. It's Julian from DTE. Let's talk about Untitled network action for deterministic latency. Actually, this we have presented this draft and MPL strategy. This Monday, we have received some comments about to present it in the net strategy for comments, review, feedback, and suggestions. Okay, thank you. So we also provide some open issues for discussion. First, we want to acknowledge Adrian Ferrier, Lou Berger, Greg Mursky, Lo Anderson for their help for comments and for review. And we also would like to thank for your attention. We have presented this and the former meetings, 160 meeting and 180 meeting. And the updates for this draft, actually this draft has changed the draft name for 2 times. Its objective is to reflect the draft objective, correctly. And in this updated version, we also made some alignments with the latest M&A header draft and made some simplifications.
I think we're having a little bit of an audio problem. At least I'm not able to track what you're saying right now. I don't know if maybe you have echo.
I'm sorry.
If you have a headset, maybe put it on. I'm trying to guess what's happening, but or turn down your local speaker and try again.
I also don't know.
You are breaking up.
Why there's echo?
I think we have a minute or two if you want to try to reload your browser and rejoin the meeting. And if that doesn't work, I know we have one of your authors in the room, and maybe we'll ask him to present. So if you want to do a quick try.
Okay, I will try to rejoin this meeting.
Actually,
and if it doesn't work,
wait, no, you're back.
Okay,
You're
okay.
back. Whatever the problem was, it seems to be good. So please pick up Maybe back up just a little bit and start again.
Okay, thank you. Okay. And to resolve the requirements, the net scaling requirements introduced in the net scaling requirements draft, and this draft provides an MPS M&A solution to resolve the net scaling issue. And this draft is to support the deterministic latency. So we have defined this terminology, and based on the comments from Agent Ferrier, the terminology definition, the original terminology definition seems not very accurate. So we made some updates to it. And the definition for the deterministic latency first should be an ability which can precisely determine the delay in the network from a source to destination or to destinations, because the network topology can be P2P or P2MP. And the delay is variable and depends on the queuing method used in the network, and the delay variation should be bounded and measurable. And DLNA is used for indication of deterministic latency service. For the DLNA substack design, to support the deterministic latency service, we need to address or support the DETNET scaling requirements. And for the requirements, there are two aspects written in the draft. First is about to support functions to ensure the deterministic latency for scaling topology and for scaling flows. And the second aspect is about to support aggregation, flow aggregation. And for the flow aggregation, actually, it has been supported via MPS A label. And for the functions, to ensure the deterministic latency, it may involve queuing method and delay data information. So we design some the format to follow the MPS M&A header specified in MPS WG. We provide this format, and from this figure you can find the DLNA opcode. It's used for the DLN network action indication, and the IHS is for the queuing delay processing, and the U bit is used for the unknown action. And for the deterministic latency data is carried in the ancillary data. So what information will be carried in the ancillary data? There's some considerations about it. First, to ensure the end-to-end latency guarantee, it's very important to select the right queuing method. For the different applications or use cases, we may use different queuing methods. So for this parameter, we think it's very important to carry in the data plane. And the second one is about the network delay. Actually, it's related to network topology scale and network flow scale. So to address the large scale requirements, the hop counts for delay assessment is another important factor. And for the delay information, which information be carried, we use timestamp. For timestamp can be easily extracted from the network, and it can provide, um, a solution to independency on the specific queuing method. And another reason is that ECMP is not recommended in DETNET for it needs to support ordering function. So timestamp can be used here. For the open issues, we would like to get the feedbacks from the net experts. The first issue is about the necessity for this work. As we know, the requirements for scaling deterministic networks is introduced in this WG draft. And to provide an enhanced DETNET data plane solution to address the scaling requirements are in the scope of DETNET Charter. So from my perspective, for this issue, the answer is absolutely yes. And for the second issue, it's about whether MPS M&A solution is in the right way. We need your feedback for this question. And for the traditional DETNET functionalities, DETNET MPS data plane solution has been specified in RFC A964. It provides DETNET PRUI functionality as through, as label and control word and flow action, flow aggregation, via MPS A label. But for the scaling requirements, actually it not be addressed in this draft. And MPL's WG provides solution, M&A solution to carry network actions with substack data and associated ancillary data. So we use the M&A solution to support the scaling requirements for deterministic latency services. As I presented in the former slides, the solution. And for the third issue is about whether the ancillary data information coded in M&A substack is enough. If the answer to the issue 2 is yes, then we can go to the issue 3. So we would like to know whether the design for the ancillary data, whether the parameters are enough, or your comments about it. And other feedback and suggestions are welcome. Okay, thank you.
This was presented in Monday's MPLS meeting, correct?
Yes.
Can you summarize? Can you summarize what you see happened there?
I think there are some comments about several questions, or one is about whether the DETNET use case is in the MPS use case. Actually, this is this question, and another concern is about we need the feedback from the DETNET. Because MPS this draft is involved, the both DETNET and MPS WGs. So maybe such as this.
I'm not sure I tracked everything you said. I think you were saying that there were some concerns on, actually, Rakesh, if you want to jump in.
Rakesh Gandhi from Cisco Sisters. So this was presented in MPLS working group. I think some comments were that are we addressing the right DETNET requirements? Is this socialized with the DETNET working group? Are we solving the right problem? Is this the right way to solve it and whatnot? So get feedback from the DETNET working group and see if they are okay with this kind of a solution.
Okay. So, I think we're talking about the MPLS data plane. So MPLS working group gets to say what is the right thing for them, or what is the right way to solve a particular problem. I think it's on our group to talk about what are the requirements and make sure that it's hitting the right requirements. Um, it would be easier to have two separate documents or do joint adoption, um, separating requirements from solution, because that then allows us to do things separate, cleanly. But more documents isn't always a good thing. So I think it would be good to talk with the working group chairs there to see where they think the solution is. To us, it feels a little early, I think. Because I think we're still sorting through what our requirements are when we're talking about the quote enhanced data plane. Now, doing changes to the MPLS data plane to ensure better latency conformance with the DETNET service, that really, yeah, it's a data plane enhancement, but it's not really related to the scaling discussions we're having. So that could be something that's reasonable to proceed with. I think a little bit being a little bit clear on what exactly which of these problems you want to solve, and then socializing between, coordinating with the MPLS working group on how to proceed. I think falls actually to us. I think it falls to the authors to be very clear what they're trying to do and what requirements they're trying to address, and then it's to the chairs to coordinate.
Yeah, and just I personally think it's maybe a bit early to develop data plane solution details, given that the DETNET working group has not made choices on which queuing solutions to proceed or which ones to adopt actually. So we are working on now the taxonomy to sort it out. And maybe going into data plane specific details would follow after having a view on which solutions to go with.
Okay, thank you, chairs. So I would like to make a double check. The DETNET WG would like to make a determination. Make some decisions on which queuing method will be used for the enhanced DETNET data plane, right?
So still, your audio is not perfect, so I
Okay,
couldn't
sorry.
get what.
Okay, I will send my question to the email list. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we are half an hour early. So if anyone has any topics they'd like to bring up, now would be a good time to do that. If they don't, we'll give people a moment or two. If not, then we'll give you some time back. All right, well, this is a rare thing, us ending a little early. So appreciate everyone's contribution to both sessions and look forward to seeing you at the next meeting.
Thank you. Bye.